Okay, what's the story?
When Musa was sleeping
Huh?
in the palace of
Okay, he was in the palace. Who was he, first of all?
Siddhartha.
Okay, so what was he doing?
So when he was sleeping one night, then he was getting.
Can we have the door closed, please? Because there's no.
And it was informing like that. You have to went outside.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just.
Yes, through wind.
Okay, so he was a prince.
Yes.
He was a prince, and he was treated in such a way that everything was very pleasurable for him, and everything was very wonderful, and he wouldn't have been exposed to any difficulties or something that we know in the scriptures. It's termed as adhyatmic, adibautic, or adidaivic, any kind of misery of life. Everything was perfect. You know, when there was too hot, there was always some cooling. When it was too cold, there was some eating. You know, everybody was youthful, energetic, surrounding him, right? There was no disease. There was no old age, death, miseries of birth. None of this. This is the environment he grew up. But then somehow or other, he sneaked out of the palace, as every youth, everybody in their youth, mostly, pretty much, at least I was like that, I don't know, everybody has some tendency to explore, you know? To find out more about what is going on in the certain environment, or much broader than that, whatever. So he went out, and then what he saw? What he saw birth, no? He saw death, he saw old age, he saw people being, sick, being diseased or something. So many, and then he was, what is this? What is going on? What is going on? What is the reality? And that was one of the first enlightenments that he had. That what is going on in this material world? It's not like what we are thinking that it is. So this is something that we would wish to be going on, right? No disease, no disease. It would be so nice. Of course, demigods have that. We don't. But there's nothing in this material world that doesn't undergo birth and death. You may not have disease, you may not have old age, but everything has to die. Whatever is taken birth, it will have to die. Whoever is died will have to take birth again. So that's unavoidable. So then he was wondering what is going on. Why some people are affected in such a way. And he started inquiring. So that was his enlightenment. So that's what I said, in this world, we paint everything in such a way, we present everything in such a way that yes, life is meant for enjoyment, life is meant for happiness. The whole media industry is meant to convince us that life is so good, you can enjoy life, you can be happy, you can gain this and gain that. But is that a reality? Is that the reality? Maybe that's reality on the screens, but beyond the screen, that's not a fact. It's not a fact. So why we entitled this presentation, Inflaming Desires? You know what means inflaming? It means something that, incites, that it kind of increases. So we have so many of our desires increase for enjoyment, for happiness, for providing our senses with so many different kinds of stimuli to be happy. No? That's it. You inflame desire, and we think, yes, living life in a certain place. Like, okay, let's take Mumbai. Mumbai, what are the most prestigious places in Mumbai? Or most desirable places to live? Or most expensive places?
South Rome.
Marine Line. Golaba. Okay, Maria. Cola by maybe Cola by Bandra, no, wait for Oh, by no. And where's that shoe house? What's it called? That hanging garden, that area, what's it called?
Fort.
Not Fort, it's no, hanging garden. What's that place? Not Oh yeah, it's around there. No, anyway, I forget how's that. But anyway, hanging gardens you can check later on all the areas. Malabar, yeah, this is Malabar. Okay, whatever. Definitely nobody would want to live in Badala. Anybody would want to live in Badala? Or some other places down around. It's not, doesn't sound so great, you know? I was there for a few days. It's a huge building, they made a huge building around all these slums and whatever, and then you see that oil refinery, you know? You see all these flames and so much pollution and things, you know? It's just nearby, you know? I was like, ooh. So it's something that doesn't remind you of something wonderful, enjoyable. Not at all. So in the world there are such kind of places where people think, yes, we can be happy. That's like why we, again entitled this presentation, why we added burning homes, because something recently that is going on, there's a lot of burning going on in Los Angeles. No?
Los Angeles.
Whole neighborhood have been burned to ground. It's pretty heavy. Whole neighborhoods. And there are, those areas are very rich areas. These are multi-million-dollar houses. And people would have thought that this is a very amazing place to live. And in one sense, indeed, it is. Because first of all, the climate there, I've been to LA, I know the climate is amazingly soothing. Climate is about maybe 22 to about 30 degrees or something. That's the average that it goes. That's it. That's it. Not too cold, not too hot. It's just perfect climate. Another thing is they have everything available. Of course, most of the people are pretty affluent. They have facilities, and it's just amazing here. As I say, climate is nice, everything is nice, facilities are there, and people may somebody may start thinking, yeah, amazing place to live. And of course, it is an amazing place to live to some extent, but we don't understand what is the nature of this material. First of all, dukkha layam ashashvatam. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this world is full of dukkha. Dukkha means happiness. Now you may say, you know, they have money, they are living in such a wonderful place. How can they be experiencing any dukkha, any suffering? Suffering just doesn't come from the place you live. Suffering comes from the people you associate with, no? You're dealing with. In one way or another, positive, negative, whatever it is, suffering will come through people. Karma is manifested through people. Karma just doesn't come by or through someone else. Mostly it comes through the people. So that's another way that one suffers. Yeah? That's called adibautika. Yeah? By living, suffering imposed by other living beings. Yeah? And then again, even if you are at some place, at some point, that's something that inevitably will happen. Because this is the nature of material world. Why we are talking about it? We're not negative. We're not trying to now paint, yes, the whole world is burning. Yes, the whole world is burning in some way or another. There's so many difficulties. And that's why we should understand we should not have any aspiration to remain in this world. That is the point that Bhagavad Gita talks about. Essentially. Essentially, that's something that we should be clear of. Because we have that tendency, we go throughout the world, you know, I think, yes, this place is a wonderful place. If I live here, I will be happy. And I have all the facilities for sense gratification, and I have all the options, and I can be happy, and I can be sad. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Illusion works amazingly, that it covers us, that it bewilders us, but the reality is utterly different. So also those people, we know that the area is prone to earthquakes, heavy earthquakes. Everybody is extremely afraid of earthquakes. And there have been certain earthquakes, and even people having houses on the hills have crumbled down. That also happens. Yeah. wildfires are quite often. It's not just this one. This one was really major one. I don't know how many thousands and thousands of homes, being burned, and more legs and legs of people being displaced, and so much damage, so much suffering, so much. Of course, one thing is that a Vaishnava, a devotee, should always be compassionate and try to help others. Definitely, we don't want to see suffering in the world. We don't like to see others going through the pain, and we try to alleviate and help everyone as much as we can. But again, since we started with the Buddhist story, so to say, we'll also add a little bit of the Buddhist wisdom, which has which has some wisdom. And then it's better to teach people. Of course, I don't know, that must be Theravada, not Mahayana Buddhism. There are different also branches, but one of them it says anyway. But the point is, it's not enough to teach people. It's not enough to give people fish. It's better to teach them how to fish. No? So the idea, it's not like you keep on feeding someone always, all the time. Even there might be fish. You don't have to stuck to that. But the point, it's better to teach someone how to live properly and avoid any kind of distress in the future. That's the point. That is what is most essential. So if we know how to avoid misery, if we know how to act properly, then we won't have to suffer. And we won't have to suffer because Krishna says in Gita, yes, this world is world of misery, but Sahayagya Prajatsvištva Puravacha Prajapati. If you follow this process, you can be happy even in this world. You have to know what to do, what not to do. Because whole life, what are we doing? We are trying to make arrangements to satisfy our senses. You will see we'll have a drama just very shortly after this discussion. And drama is going to point out how whole life we are making certain investments. And that investment is in utter vain. Yeah? You'll see the drama. I'm just pointing to it. Just now, just to prepare you a little bit. So whole life we are working hard. We are dreaming the dream of being happy. But by the time our dream is to be realized, first of all, our life is gone. Life is gone. How many people have loans to repay? Yeah. By the time you repay the loan, your life is gone. Yeah. And you thought you gained something by that loan? Nothing much. You were stuck with some other one coming again. And so many things happen. So we live a life hoping so much, but there is always something, some kind of tragedy that strikes. It's unavoidable. It's within the family, within society, within the nation, whatever it is. There's always some kind of calamity that it's always lingering. It's always lingering. It's just kind of hanging, just kind of like there's this, like a sharp sword, in the air that any moment can fall down. Yeah. So this is unfortunately, or fortunately, both ways we can see, nature of this material existence, because that's what we have to be aware of. The nature of this world is that it's temporary, it's full of miseries. So if we have other ideas about it, then we're going to be very brutally surprised. Yeah. So yes, we want to be happy. Definitely, like we practice this Krishna consciousness. We don't want to be miserable. We're practicing because we want to be happy, and we do experience happiness by practice of Krishna consciousness. But again, we are conscious that this happiness, it's not on material level. It's not on the material level, because on the material level, again, everything is temporary. Everything ends in some kind of misery. Yeah? Because that's the nature of happiness in the mode of passion. It's the nectar in the beginning, it's the poison at the end. That's material nature. Spiritual world, yes, it's a little bit difficult now, maybe for some reasons, but it's the nectar at the end. And it's the nectar while one pursues that practice. So, while so many things go on in the world, the idea is we never expect it, no? We never anticipate, yes, this may happen, this trouble will happen, this will go on. We always think, yes, everything will be great and wonderful forever in life. But the longer you live on this planet, the more you become aware that that's absolutely not the fact. Maybe now you're still young, you don't have any experience of some great traumas in your life. But every generation does go through some. One type or another. One type or another. I mean, here in India, we just see, there were earthquakes, there were hurricanes, there were tsunamis, there were wars. We just forgot about it. And it's not so long ago. It's not so long ago. We forgot about it. We just go on with our so-called daily routine, hoping again for the blissful, happy life. No? But we forgot about it. Yeah. We can name it. Just here in Maharashtra, some, decades ago, maybe there was a very heavy earthquake in Latur. No? There was in Gujarat. In Orissa, so many, cyclones came, heavy things going on. This is natural disasters. What about disasters caused by man? What about this COVID lila that happened also? It wasn't long ago. It wasn't long ago. What about, economy? Anything may happen. Anything may strike any moment. In any way to anyone, in any form. It's gonna go. It's gonna keep on going. So the idea is we shouldn't also be overly depressed or occupied with it, because that's, again, just we have to understand this is the nature of material existence. And then whenever anything happens again, we have to learn how to take shelter of Krishna. How to take shelter of Krishna. Understanding that there is nothing really much that we can do to control this world. There's nothing really much. Only thing that we can control is control our own lives, to the extent that we can remain Krishna conscious. Because this is not a place, Srila Prabhupada says, this is not a place where we are supposed to remain. It's not an eternal, blissful world. And it's not. So that's why we try to have that higher understanding and higher perspective. And of course, as I said, yes, when people go through different difficulties, and we try to give them that perspective that will alleviate their difficult situation. Of course, it's not that something happens, that sometimes there might be a response, it's someone's karma. Yes, that's true, but we don't have to rub salt into the wound, no? That's not the way to respond when some difficulty happens. Yes, it is some karma. And we all have certain karma, but we don't make more trouble out of it. We definitely try to help. We definitely try to see how to, again, raise one's consciousness. How to provide basic some facilities also for someone to become Krishna conscious also. So both things go, hand to hand. So one has to learn again how to view the circumstances in a proper consciousness, and then try to understand what should be the proper action according to this situation that is there. And at any cost, one should never, again, lose their higher consciousness. That's the point. Because if we are overly attached, people when they're overly attached and they lose their objects of sense gratification, then they go to extreme, they tend to perform extreme type of activities or measures that are very harmful for them themselves. So that's not a good idea. That's not a good idea. That should not happen. So yes, we are constantly reminded, just like you may see, why we talk about these fires that go on. Because mostly people think that yes, in this part of the world called America, everything is wonderful and great, but that's complete illusion. That's complete illusion. That's like another illusion that somebody may think that Bollywood is the most wonderful thing that happens in life. It's such an illusion. It's such an illusion. So these are constant reminders. Just like now they said there's going to be a cold wave coming. People are going to be freezing. It's going to be freezing. It's going to be extremely cold climate. It's going to be such a heavy, circumstance for so many people. Freezing temperatures. And then every year they have 1, 2, or so many hurricanes, coming, tornadoes coming. So many things, so many different areas practically wiped out. Yeah. Again, people losing their homes, losing their. What about domestic violence? What about public violence? What about so many things going on? What kind of life is that? What kind of life is that? You can live a happy life just in an illusion, just in your mind. So all these things are there. Yes, they remind us. They remind us about reality of this material existence, that we don't dream that everything will be great, wonderful, and that we'll be eternally happy. It doesn't happen in this world. It happens, but not in this world. Not in this world. This is something that we shouldn't be delusional. So that's why we wanted to bring out a little bit this subject. Of course, as we said, it's not a pleasant subject, but it helps us to raise our consciousness. Because when we are in illusion, that illusion doesn't help us at all. How does illusion help us? How does dreaming about something that has no substance help us? It doesn't help us at all. We have to face the reality. Sometimes we do have to face reality, and we have to do something about that reality. So this is what Vedic knowledge is about. This is what Vedic knowledge is preparing us to understand, to have a proper perception, and to do something right in the right moment in our lives. Okay, any questions on this? Today we have a little brief discussion because there's some other programs going on. So we're not supposed to extend this discussion. So just something to make us a little bit more aware, just something to make us more conscious about also our position, our future, and something also that will help us to educate us, that what should be perspective in case that when we have personal challenges in life, when we face certain different kinds of circumstances that are not so pleasant. And mostly pretty often we do on larger or smaller scale. Okay, any questions? Huh? Yes. Is it on the subject? Please don't ask questions which are not on subject. If it is, then you can wait till the end.
On the subject.
Okay.
What can we do to achieve Krishna consciousness? What is the process to achieve Krishna consciousness?
That's not so much on subject, but anyway. So what do we do to achieve Krishna consciousness? Well, learn from nature. To bring it more on the subject. First thing is learn from the nature. Living in the city, that becomes very difficult. You're not surrounded by nature. But you cannot stop the nature. Just again, in the beginning we said, you're trying to hide birth, trying to hide old age, trying to hide disease, trying to hide death. That's a nature. That's a nature. You can't hide it. No matter what you do, you can't hide it. You'll have to face it. So then, if somebody is somewhat a little bit more conscious, then this kind of circumstances will help him to become more Krishna conscious, and one will start looking for certain answers. Why is this so? Why is this so? We have all cosmetic industry, and we have so many things at our disposal these days. Still, we cannot stop disease. We cannot stop old age. We cannot stop death. That's the nature. So look at the nature. Nature works its own ways. Everybody's affected by it. Yeah. So that's something that can help us become more Krishna conscious. Okay? That's the first step. Another step is hopefully if you come across some devotee, somebody who has a little more knowledge, somebody has a little more experience, that they can point to some direct measures how to become more Krishna conscious and how to be less affected by negative laws of nature. Okay? Anything else? Yes?
I had a small question. You say that all the dhams which are there, Vrindavan or any other dham, the climate is very extreme.
Okay.
Whereas the places where there is extreme Maya, the climate is very quite pleasant.
Okay.
Like even in Mumbai also. But why is it so that way?
That's why it said that Krishna keeps only his pure devotees in Vrindavan. If you're going to be serious about Krishna or you're going to be serious about your sense enjoyment, that's what's the difference. Huh? So it's not easy, that's what the whole point is. So what is the purpose of being separate? That will be revealed in such circumstances. Okay? Okay, anything else? So what can devotee? Okay, yes.
Sorry, my question is Prabhuji, why we get forget the suffering, although we know.
That's a very interesting thing. Why do we forget suffering? Why do we forget? We definitely have almost practical every few days or very often. There's some kind of difficulty that we have to face, no? One form or another through someone, you know, somehow, and then we forget, and then we are again so excited about some prospective enjoyment in this world, you know, some prospective gain, and we forget what we went through. And we never think that, yes, I will have to go to some trouble again in the future. So this is the power, this is the power of illusion. This is the power of this material world to bewilder us, to make us completely distracted from the real goal of life. But then you see, Krishna again reminds us, somehow or other suffering comes. Krishna keeps on reminding us. And maybe, hopefully, at some point in life, you'll start to understand there's no way to be happy. Really, because it's impossible. On the material plane, it's impossible to be happy. Just impossible. And even if you have something, there will be someone who will be envious of you and give you trouble. Or try to take away whatever you gain. But that's another nature of this material existence. There's just no way that you can, you know, be steady in your so-called happiness. And even if you're happy, you become bored of that happiness. That's another nature of so-called happiness in material world. You become bored by it. I said, what is it? It's so boring. No, there's no substance. Then you realize there's no substance in it. The only excitement was to gain that so-called happiness that you think will make you happy. That was the only excitement about it. And when you kind of gain it, you thought, okay, yes, finally I got it. But then once you have it, you realize there's no substance behind it. So that's why material energy bewilders us, because we are not serious about real goal of life. We are not serious about to understand what is our position, what is our nature. And then Maya has to cover us. Maya has to keep on presenting so many different kinds of goals. Okay, now you miss this. What about that? What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? And there's a myriad in this material world. And that's how we spend billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of lifetimes chasing after illusion. Chasing after one illusion after another illusion. Wasting our lives, working hard, hoping, suffering, until we finally become tired of it. And then we finally become tired, and then maybe start inquiring, okay, is there anything else beyond this? You know, I'm really tired after this, you know, illusory chase. I'm tired of it. Maybe I want some substance now. That's when spiritual life begins. That's why Queen Kunti, she's praying to Krishna. She said, when one becomes completely exhausted, when one, by his aspiration of Janmaishwarya Shuta Shrivi Edamana, when one becomes completely exhausted from being so-called satisfied by his good birth, that parentage, opulence, beauty, knowledge, when one is not intoxicated anymore by any of those, then one can become serious about spiritual life. It's just like Arjuna, when he was completely frustrated, he was incapable of resolving difficulties that he was facing. Then that's the point when one starts looking for spiritual life. As long as you aspire thinking that, yes, there is something that I can gain in this world that will make me happy, then there's no hope of somebody surrendering to Krishna. So that's why Maya bewilders us. Even though there's so much suffering, we undergo so many difficulties, and Maya bewilders us. No, it's not so bad. That's why you have a girlfriend. That's why you have a girlfriend. No, don't matter how much trouble is there. If you have a girlfriend, you'll forget all the troubles. No? She'll convince you, no, it's not so bad. You just work hard and we'll get this and we will be happy. And you work hard and we'll get that and then we will be happy. And the whole life goes like this. And you'll always be encouraged in such a way and bewildered in such a way. That's how Maya works. Until at some point, if you have any substance, then you realize, hey, it doesn't work like this. I'm already tired of it, really. Yeah. Then you look for something else. So that's the nature of material nature, that we forget the troubles. And then material nature presents us with so many new objects of sense gratification and convinces us, yes, you'll be happy now, you'll be happy now, you'll be happy. Yeah, that's like, when was that? I just came to India. I think there was, in the late 90s, there was a heavy earthquake in Kutch, Bhuj, in Gujarat.
Yes.
Heavy. That also keeps on happening. Many people died. It was bad. And then again, people said they were building multi-story houses and so. And everybody was advised, don't do that, because this area is prone to earthquakes. And they started doing it. And then even after, again they started doing it. But people forget. That's the nature. They'll just forget. They don't want to hear good advice. Krishna is giving us good advice. Don't do these things, don't do this thing, don't do that thing. Do something else. No, we don't want to follow. We just keep on stubbornly doing things in a way that will just make us suffer more. So that's something we should learn. We should learn what's Krishna's advice. To follow Krishna's advice. Then again, as Krishna says, then in this world you can be happy. Otherwise there's no option. There's no way to be happy if you don't follow Krishna's advice. He tells us how to do, in which way to do. Nobody says, no, we know better. Okay, what can be done? What can be done? Okay, any other question? Okay, so then we'll have our drama. Yeah, you ready? And then, what about dinner? What will happen? We have all the common. I guess it's going to be common, no? What, 8 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have drama and then 8 o'clock everybody can go for it. Okay, so Prabhupada ki jai.
Hari Om.